Can you see the blank screen right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we'll be discussing how to evaluate the limit of a complex valued function. So before that, just we'll discuss what is the significance of limit of function of one variable. So this is function of one real variable which represents a curve geometrically. So here the independent variable is x. So since there is only one independent variable, so that is the reason we say that this is a function of one real variable. So in class 11, you have actually studied how to evaluate the limit of a function of one real variable. So now my question is, what is the significance of finding or evaluating the limit? Why do we actually find the limit of a function? So lots of rules you have used to evaluate the limit. You have solved different problems for your joint entrance examination as well as for your board exams also. But my question is, why do we find the limit? What is the significance of finding out the limit for a function at a given point? So for example, we find the limit of function y equals to fx at the point x equals to x0. So why do we do so? Why do we find the limit of a function at a given point? So can anyone tell me?
We know the nature of the curve for basically.
To know the nature of the curve. So how we can know by the limit? So why limit? So why we need to take the limit to know the nature of the curve? By drawing the graph of the function, actually we can know the nature of the curve. So what is the significance of finding out the limit? So if a curve is given, say for example, a circle is given, x square plus y square equals to a square. So this is a function. So the function is y equals to plus minus square root of a square minus x square. So by drawing actually the locus of this equation, if I draw the locus of this graph, then also we'll be getting the nature of the curve. So why we are going to find the limit? So you have solved in class 11, so you must know this. Anyone? So master started this in class 11. Don't you ask your didn't you ask your teacher why we are going to find the limit? You can ask this type of question to me also. Whenever I am discussing something, if you don't get why we are doing that, so I may not know the answer, but there is reason behind everything we are doing. Would you be able to tell me? Anyone?
So the function's limit at any point is only possible if that function is continuous, right? So it can be used to check the nature of the graph.
So again, I have told that to check the content. If you draw this graph of the function, so do you need to check the limit at any point? So this circle is given. You want to draw the graph of a circle. Whose equation is this? So do you need to check the limit for this function? Because limit is a tool for continuity or differential to check the continuity or differentiability. But this is not the need of this might be the need of limit, but this is not the significance of limit. So if you want to draw this graph, do you need to find the limit?
Sir, by limit, we will just find out what will be that output at that given input.
So that we can find by function too.
No, sir, that we are finding by limit now.
So by function we can't do so. So at x equals to 1, what is the value of y? Y will be plus minus root over a square minus 1.
Yes, sir.
So we can get the output by putting x equals to 1 though. Are we finding the limit here?
Yes, sir, but we can find up to more closer. Means up to large extent we can find from the limit.
But here, what is the significance of limit? Here we are not finding out the limit. Large extent means, give an example.
Sir, like the situation is, if I say, like there are some functions where if we are solving it by the using of limit tending to some point, then we are specifically like if we are lying in the region of small element dx, then also we can precisely find what the value will
Now
be.
this is the differentiability though.
So it defines whether the function is continuous or not.
No, this is the uses, but this is not limit. Okay, just let me tell. This is not
So
actually.
Sir,
Can it be-
suppose suppose if we will take the that value means 0, then it will give the same answer. But if we will take plus 0 or plus minus, it can be vary.
Plus 0 plus minus 0 means 0 plus 0 minus 0 both are same though.
Means take the another one means 1 plus 1
If you
minus
take plus 1 minus 1, both will give the same value though.
1. And
So if we take a function, for example, tan inverse x, okay, so its limit like while tending to 1,
Hmm.
like it should be infinity, right?
Taking to 1, tan inverse 1 is not infinite.
No, sir, tan inverse pi by 2,
Yeah.
so that should be like infinity, right?
Hmm.
So we have to like, we can't draw the actual graph because it's tending to infinity, but we don't know where actually infinity meets. So for
Infinity will
that
meet at infinity. Yeah,
estimation
partially this is right. Yeah, partially this is right. But what is the conclusion? What is your conclusion?
So for estimating the graph, like to
Yeah.
a certain upper bound or lower bound.
Yeah, actually, you are partially right, but the actual answer is, let's say we are drawing a, we are considering a function of y equals to fx. So while we are defining a function, so there must have a domain and a codomain. Otherwise, we can't define a function. So let's say A is the domain and B is our codomain. So while we are defining the function, so the function must possess a functional value corresponding to each and every point of the domain. Say, let's say this domain is finite number of points are here, say 10 points are here. So while we are defining this function should provide us the value corresponding to each of the 10 points, not for the 9 points or 8 points. So the function should be defined on each and every point that is there in that domain, and the functional value will lie in the codomain. But if the function is not defined at this particular value, then this cannot be the domain corresponding to this function. That means function must provide us some output corresponding to each and every input that the domain has. Okay, so let's say, for example, if I consider this function here, y equals to say plus minus s square minus x square. So for this function, if you put any value of x, you'll be getting the value of y. So there is no problem. But if I provide you this function x square minus 4 by x minus 2, so in both these cases, I'm considering that the function is defined from set of real number to set of real number. So that means here, since the domain is a set of real number, so the function must provide us the value corresponding to each and every value of x that is coming from the set of real number, because set of real number is our domain here. So here this is not a problem, but here there lies a problem, because here 2 is the natural 2 is the real number, but if I put x equals to 2 here, we will not be getting any value of y. That means it will be 0 by 0. That means by function we must get the functional value corresponding to each and every value that the domain has by defining a function. But if the function doesn't provide us a value corresponding to certain value that is there in the domain, we won't be able to say that the function is defined on that domain. Then either domain must be rectified, or we need to find out, or we need to provide some approximated value, because exact value at 2 for this given function is not possible. We won't be able to find, if I put x equals to 1 here, I'll be getting the exact value of the function. But if I put x equals to 2 here, I won't be getting any exact value. So that's why limit means actually, limiting value means actually the approximated value. Since here the exact value at x equals to 2 doesn't exist, that's why we need to take the limiting value or approximated value of the function at x equals to 2. If approximated value exists for that particular function at x equals to 2, then we say that the limit exists, and then the domain can be this. Let's say at x equals to 2, it is not possible for us to provide any approximated value of the function. Then if I consider that this is a function on this domain, then it is not true. Actually, I need to rectify the domain. Then what I need to do, if I subtract 2, if I exclude 2 from this domain, then this is a function at x equals to 2. Since x equals to 2 is not there in the domain, so at each and every point that the domain has, the function is defined. But if I consider set of real number is the domain, then the function is not defined at x equals to 2. So either we need to provide the approximated value of the function at x equals to 2, or we need to modify the domain. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So actually limiting value means whenever it is not possible for us to evaluate the exact value at a particular point that the domain has corresponding to a given function, then we need to evaluate the limit. So if limit exists, then we'll say that the function must function has an approximated value at the given point, so the domain can be unchanged. And if it is not possible for us to provide an approximated value of the function at the given point, then the function will not be defined at that given domain. Then the domain either should be rectified, other the function will be invalid. So this is actually the significance of evaluating the limit. Now, what is the methodology? So you have used different rules to evaluate the limit, but what is the actual methodology to evaluate the limit? So actual methodology is, so here this is a function of one variable. So that means there is only one independent variable and one dependent variable. So together there are two variables. So we could represent both the variables in a two-dimensional real plane. So let's say we are taking a two-dimensional real plane. So there will be two real axes. One is x-axis, another is y-axis. So independent variable we are taking on x-axis. So let's say this is the arbitrary graph of the function. So this is arbitrary graph, let's say. That means I'm not saying that this is the exact graph of x square minus 4 by x minus 2. This is the arbitrary graph. And let's say this is the point x equals to 2. So at all other points, there is a functional value, because at this point, if I draw a perpendicular, this length will be the functional value. But at x equals to 2, the function doesn't have a functional value. So at x equals to 2, we need to check whether the function has a approximated value or limiting value. If I could provide approximated value of the function at the given point, then we'll say that the function has a limit, otherwise the function doesn't have a limit. So here the number of independent variable is 1. That is only by x-axis we can represent the independent variable. Now just tell me, if I consider a straight line and I take a point, then what are the directions from which we could approach towards this point in a straight line? That means this is a point in the straight line. We want to move through that straight line. Then what are the possible directions that we can move towards this point in that straight line along the straight line? Is my question is clear? Is my question is clear?
Yes, sir.
So what are the directions that we could approach to these points along the straight line from the nearer points? What are the number of directions?
One direction, sir.
So two directions from
Two directions.
towards the left
Other
and towards the
either
right.
we could approach from this end to this point, or we could approach from this end to this point. Since the point is one dimensional point, this is over a straight line. So if I fix a point on a straight line, then I could approach to this towards this point along the straight line, either from these directions or from these directions. So what we are doing here, so we are taking a small interval around x equals to 2. We are taking a neighborhood. I have defined neighborhood in the previous classes. So neighborhood means around this point I need to take a neighborhood. That means I need to take nearer points. Since the points are there over the straight line, so by nearer points we can take any interval. So here we are taking open interval. Let's say we are taking this open interval. And the length of the interval we are taking as a small length. That means 0.0001, let's say. So this point will be 2.0001 and this point will be 1.999. So at all other points in that interval, apart from x equals to 2, the function is defined. If you put here 2.001, you'll be getting a value of y. If you put 1.999, you'll be getting a value of y. Apart from x equals to 2, if you put any other value which is there inside that interval, you will be getting the functional value. So what we will be doing from the left hand side, from the right hand side, we'll be approaching towards this point from the nearer point. That means we'll be taking this point, this point, this point. We'll be varying all those points. And if you put all those points here, you'll be finding that more will be approaching towards 2 from the right hand side, more the functional value will be approaching from greater than 4 to what's 4. Say let's say this is the value 4. This is the value, functional value 4. So let's say if you put 2.001, it will be 4.00001, 4.001, like that. So if you go towards 2 from the right hand side of 2, the functional value will be coming closer towards 4 from the greater values of 4. Similarly, if you take the lesser values of than 2, that means if you approach from the left hand side of 2 towards 2 from this interval, you'll be getting that the functional value will be very closer to 4, but it will move towards 4 from the lesser values of 4, that means 3.999, 3.99998, like that. So here I can say that whenever I am varying the independent variable in a small interval around 2, I am getting that the functional values are actually varying in a small interval around 4. So that's why here I could say that the functional value at 2 can be approximated as 4. Then later on, we can identify the limit by the formula. By the formula is means x square minus 4 by x minus 2. So you can factorize the numerator and denominator. This will be x minus 2 into x plus 2. And now this is x minus 2. Now since x is moving towards 2, so x is closer to 2, but x is not equals to 2. So this can be eliminated. So this is x plus 2. Now x plus 2 is defined at 2. So the value will be 4. So this is the method. But the main thing is that here, whenever we are approaching from the lesser values of 2 towards 2, the functional value is moving from the lesser values of 4 towards 4, but very close to 4. And here, whenever I am moving from the greater values of 2 towards 2, the functional values is also moving from the greater values of 4 towards 4, but in a very small region. So that's why here I could say that the limit exists and the limiting value will be 4. Is that clear or not? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Have you all understood? If you have any doubt, then you could ask me. Doubts or queries, then you can ask me. Do you have any doubts or queries? Now, what happened? What will happen if I consider this function? Let's say fx equals to 1 by x. Here f is defined from set of real number to set of real number. What will happen here? So here also at x equals to 0, since your domain is a set of real numbers, so 0 is included in the set of real numbers. So at 0, this is not defined. So at 0, I need to check whether the approximated value of fx we can find or not. Okay. So for that, what do you need to do? Similarly, the graph is here, y equals to 1 by x. That means xy equals to 1. So what will be the locus of this graph? Can anyone tell me what will be the locus?
Rectangular parabola.
This will be rectangular parabola. That means this sort of graph will be getting. Now the point is 0. So at this point, the functional value is not defined. So we'll be taking a left hand side, left hand interval and right hand interval around this point, and they are very closer to 0. So in the right hand side, let's say this is say 0.0001, 0.001, like that. Left hand side we are taking minus 0.01, minus 0.0001, like that. So you put the values of x over here, and if you move towards 0 from the greater values of 0, you'll be getting that the functional value is going towards plus infinity. And if you move from the left hand side of 0 towards 0, we'll be getting that the functional value is moving towards minus infinity. So we are varying the values of, because if you put 0.01 here, it will be 1 by 100. Sorry, it will be 100. If you put 0.001 here, it will be 1 by 1000. So more you will be taking the lesser values and approaching towards 0. The functional value will be approaching towards plus infinity, and more you will be closer towards 0 from the left hand side, it will be going up to minus infinity. So you are varying the independent variable in a small interval around 2, but functional value is varying in a huge interval from minus infinity to plus infinity. So here, like the previous case, it is not possible for us to provide any approximated value as the functional value at x equals to 0. Is that clear? Is that clear or not?
Yes, sir.
So that's why here we say that the limit doesn't exist. So since here limit doesn't exist, so if I consider this as the domain, the function will not be valid. So here I need to modify the domain, and I can define the domain here at r minus 0 to r. Then fx equals to 1 by x. Then it will be a function. But if we define this function on here, then it will not be a valid function. It will be invalid function. Okay. Is that clear or not? I guess this is clear. Now, what is the epsilon delta definition? Epsilon delta definition is that, let's say, this is the graph of a function y equals to fx, and this is a point x equals to x0, where the function doesn't have any functional value. So that's why we need to take the limit here. So we are taking an interval around x equals to x0. So we'll be taking the equal length in the left hand side as well in the right hand side. So let's say this length is delta. So this point will be x0 plus delta, and this point will be x0 minus delta. And let's say here, whenever we are approaching from x0 plus delta towards x0, the functional value is moving from L0 plus epsilon to L. And whenever I'm varying from this end to this end, I'm getting that the functional value is moving from L minus epsilon towards L. So that means whenever the independent variable, the difference between x and the independent variable x0 is less than delta, then functional value minus the limiting value, this difference is epsilon. And this delta and epsilon are comparable. Like the previous case, it is comparable because here we are varying in a small interval. Here also functional values are varying around 4 in a small interval. But in that case, this is not comparable because we are varying the independent variable in a small interval, but the functional value is varying in a huge interval. So in that case, we can say that the limit doesn't exist, but in that case, the limit exists. So the epsilon delta definition is this. That means we are varying the independent variable x around x0 in a small interval of delta. If the functional values varies in a small interval around epsilon, then we say that limiting value exists here. Is that clear? Is that clear or not? Is it okay? If you have any doubt, you ask me.
So can you please explain once more?
Okay. Let's say in the previous case, we are varying the value around 2, say 2.0.001 to 2 minus 0.001. So here, what is the length of delta? Delta is here 0.001. Okay. Is that clear or not? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if the functional value varies around 4 plus say 0.001 to 4 minus 0.0001, then what is epsilon? Epsilon is 0.0001. So what is the relation between delta and epsilon? Delta equals to or actually delta by 10 equals to epsilon. Just wait for a minute. Okay. So here you can find that delta and epsilon are comparable. That means if delta is small, epsilon is small. But in the next case, for the 1 by x case, whenever we are taking say delta equals to say 0.001, but epsilon is used because epsilon is varying from plus infinity to minus infinity. So that's why their delta and epsilon is not comparable. So that's why their limit doesn't exist. Have we got it now? Is that clear now?
Yes, sir.
Now we'll discuss what is the significance of limit and how we can find the limit. Okay, so what is the significance of limit for the function of two variable? Let's say z equals to fxy. So just we have done this in first semester. So this is a function of two real variables. So here the independent variable is not one. There are two independent variables. There are two independent variables. So here, how we can evaluate the limit? So here, what we are doing here? So let's say this is x-axis, this is y-axis, and let's say this is z-axis. So here we need to check the limit at the point say x0, y0. fx. We need to check whether this exists or not. So here independent variable, like the previous case, will not be one dimensional point. Rather, this point will be two dimensional point. So this will exist in the xy plane. Say x0, y0. So we need to take a neighborhood around this point to find the nearer points towards this point, or to move or to approach from the nearer points towards this point. So either here, since this is a two-dimensional point, so I can't take any interval, because if I take this interval, this will also be a nearer point. If I take this interval, so I'll be missing that. So that's why here I need to take any closed neighborhood. Either I can take any circular neighborhood, or I can take any rectangular neighborhood, or I can take any square neighborhood around this point. Now what we need to do, say they are nearer points. So I need to approach from any nearer points towards this point. Okay. And I need to check what is the limiting value. Now let me tell, say from this point to this point, what are the directions that we could approach? Is there any unique directions, or how many directions are there that we could approach from this point to this point? Because in the previous case, if I take this as an independent variable, this is the nearer point. Either we could approach from this end, or we could approach from this end. But here, this is a point. So these are all nearer points. Now, what are the directions that we could approach towards this point from the nearer point? Is there any unique direction? Or how many directions are there?
There will be 6 directions.
Six
Two.
directions. How
No.
6 directions?
So 2 from each axis, like with respect to x-axis, there will be 2 directions. With
No, there is no.
respect
Okay, either from these axes, how we can approach? Say just last scale, if you consider. Sorry.
So, for example, if we consider a point in space, okay, and then
Yeah, this point and they are nearer points. So they are all nearer points.
yes,
But here, if I take this point, this can be nearer points, or this can be nearer points. So from these points, I could approach towards this. From this point, I could approach towards this point. But all are nearer points.
In fact,
So there will be infinite directions, because from this point, I could approach by this direction. From this point, I could approach by this direction.
yes,
This point, I could approach by this direction. So there are infinite number of points. So there will be infinite number of numerous directions that we could approach from this towards this point x0, y0 from the nearer points in that neighborhood. Is that clear or not?
yes, sir, yes, sir.
So that's why here, like the previous case, in the previous case, since there are two directions, so either we need to check the limit from the left hand side, or we need to check the limit from right hand side. If both are equal, we say that limit exists. But here, infinite number of directions are there. So if we need to check whether limit exists or not, we need to check from this infinite paths. So if I find that the limiting value is indifferent, or limiting value is same, irrespective of the direction, then I will only be able to say that the limit exists here. Okay. Is that clear or not?
Yes, sir.
But it is not possible, because it is not possible for us to check from infinite directions whether the limiting values are coming or same. So that's why by epsilon delta method, we can check the existence of limit. Or in the previous semester, that means the first semester, not in the previous semester, in the first semester, what the method that I have studied, that means the path dependency method, we can't check the existence of limit. Rather, we can check the non-existence of limit. How we can do so? Say, for example, there are infinite number of paths. So I can't check the existence by checking the limiting value from these infinite directions. But I can actually disprove that. That means I can actually prove the non-existence. Say, for example, this is the point. From this point, I could approach this to this path. From this point, I could approach to this path. From this point, I could approach through this path. So to show that the limit doesn't exist, it is enough to show that the limiting value is not same if I choose this path, if I choose this path. That means if I choose any two paths and show that the limiting values are coming different, then at once we can say that the limit doesn't exist. Is that clear or not? because to show the existence, we need to show that the limiting value is same if I approach from the infinite number of directions towards this point. But to show that limit doesn't exist, it is enough if I choose two different paths and show that limiting values are different.
So,
Because-
but if there are two paths which you are choosing,
Yeah.
and for only those two paths the limit is same, but there is another path which the limit is not same. So
Yeah.
how will like it
Then you
will
need to choose
be
another path
answered.
because the problems which will be given to you, so the limit will not exist there, because by this path dependence method you can only check the non-existence. Okay, so if a problem is given to you where you are finding that if you choose two different paths the limiting values are coming same, from that you can't say that the limit will exist, because you need to check the third path. So the problems which will be given to you, so the limit won't exist there, because if you want to show that the limit exists by this method, it is not possible for you to show. So the problems which will be given to you, you only can disprove this, or you only can prove that limit doesn't exist. Is that clear or not?
Yes, sir.
And if you need to check the limiting values, then you need to check by epsilon delta method. So if I get time, I'll be discussing this method later on. Okay, so just I'm giving one example. Let's say we need to check the limiting value at 0 0. So limit x y tends to 0 0. To xy by x square plus y square. So here the point is actually 0 0. So to 0 0 I can move from different directions. So without taking different directions differently, just what I am doing, I am taking the family of path, family of straight lines. Family of straight line means y equals to x, y equals to 2x, y equals to 3x. So by this collection, I am not taking only one straight line, rather, or one path, rather, I am taking the infinite number of collection of straight line which passes through origin. So by this path, I could approach towards the point 0 0. So now if I substitute here y in terms of x, so it will be dependent on x only, because there are two variables y and x. If I substitute y in terms of x, this will be dependent on x only. So this will be limit x tends to 0 to x y equals to mx. This will be x square plus m square x square. Now this will be limit x tends to 0 to x square m by x square into 1 plus m square. So since x tends to 0, so x is not equals to 0, so we could eliminate this. So this will be 2m by 1 plus m square. So now here, if you take the path as y equals to x, so m is 1, so the limiting value will be 2. If you take the path as y equals to half x, so the m will be changed, so the limiting value will also be changed. So that's why by this family of straight line, we are showing that the limit doesn't exist for this function at the point 0 0 without taking two different paths separately. Rather, by taking a family of path, we are showing that the limiting value is dependent on the variable or variable of the path. That's why the limit doesn't exist here. Is that clear? Is that clear or not? You
Yes,
did this in first semester actually. So this is the methodology. So similarly, if I want to do this, or I want to check this by for the function of complex variable, let's say function of complex variable means f of xy equals to uv. So number of independent variables are there 2. So there also I could check whether the limit exists or not by the same method, since number of independent variables are 2 there. Okay, so that's why the same way I could check the existence or non-existence of the limit for the function of complex variable. So the next class I'll be discussing that, and I'll be discussing the problems also. Okay. So just let me take your attendance manually first, then I'll be giving you the exam codes. Okay, so AIML roll number 1, 2, 3,
Present, sir.
4,
Present, sir.
5, 6,
Yes,
7,
sir. Yes, sir.
8,
Sir,
Sir,
7 present, sir.
sir, roll number 2. I was unable to unmute at that time.
okay, 8,
Sir, roll 6 also present.
Sir,
6
roll
given,
7 also.
6, 7 given, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Sir, 9 present. Sir, 9 present.
Yes, sir. Roll 10 present.
11.
Sir, present.
So while I'm calling your roll number, you just be prepared. Say I am calling the roll number of 11, so 12, 13 be,
Sir,
be
while
prepared.
I unmuted, you went so fast.
Roll number 11,
Present, sir.
12, 13, 14,
Present, sir.
15, 16, 17,
sir.
18,
Sir, 17 present.
16,
17
17 given,
present, sir.
18, 19,
Present, sir.
20,
Sir, present. Roll 20.
21, 22, 23,
Present, sir.
Present, sir, 23.
22, 3 given, 4, 24, 25, 20 26,
Present, sir.
27,
Present, sir.
28,
Yes, sir.
29, 30, 31, 32,
31 present, sir.
31 given, 32, 33, 34,
Present, sir.
33
present.
30, 33, 34 given, 35,
Present, sir.
36, 37,
Present, sir.
38,
Present, sir.
39, 40,
Present,
Fo-
sir.
41, 42,
Present, sir.
43,
42 present.
yeah, 42 given, 43, 44,
Present, sir.
45,
Present, sir.
6,
46 present, sir.
47,
Present, sir.
48, 49,
Present, sir.
50.
Present, sir.
Okay, CSBS roll number 1, 2, 3, 4,
4 present, sir.
5,
Present, sir.
6,
Present, sir.
7,
Present, sir.
8,
8 present, sir.
9,
Present, sir.
10, 11,
Yes,
12.
sir.
Okay, 11 given, 12,
12 present, sir.
12.
11 present.
Yeah, given, 12, 13,
present.
12
Present,
given,
sir.
13,
Present, sir.
14,
Present, sir.
15,
Present, sir.
16,
Present, sir.
17,
Present, sir.
18, 19, 20, 21,
Present, sir.
22,
Present, sir.
23, 24,
Yes, sir.
25, 26, 27.
Present,
sir.
sir.
27 present.
Yeah, given. 26, 27 given, 28,
Present, sir.
29,
Present, sir.
30, 31,
Present,
32,
sir.
31 given,
Present,
32,
sir. Present, sir.
33,
Present, sir.
34,
Present, sir.
35,
Present, sir.
36,
Present, sir.
37,
Present, sir.
38,
Present, sir.
39,
Yes, sir.
40,
Present, sir.
41,
Present, sir.
Present,
42,
Yes, sir.
43,
Present, sir.
44,
Yes, sir.
45, 46,
Present,
47,
sir.
48,
47 present, sir.
given, 48, 49, 50, 51,
Present, sir.
52.
Present, sir.
Just wait, I am sharing the exam codes.
Sir, AIML 41 present.
And 31 given, so I will reiterating.
Sir, AIML 41.
41.
Yes, sir.
Just wait, I am giving the exam.
Sir, CSBS roll number 3 is present. He is not being able to unmute.
Just wait. What is your roll number? 3.
CSBS roll number 3.
Okay. Now, these are the exam codes and this is the link. So just click the link and give your full enrollment number and the exam codes and give the class test. So just someone amongst you from CSBS and AIML, just check and let me know whether you can access it right now or not. Can you access it right now?
So for AIML, it's working.
Okay. Thank you, Prakash.
For CSBS also it's working.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So thank you all. Just finish the class test. So thank you all for attending the classes. I'm leaving. So in the next, before the next class, just revise whatever I have discussed today. And if you have any kind of doubts before I start, you can ask me. Thank you all. I'm leaving.
Thank you, sir.